And hello YouTube, this is Thomas Judge back once again with another episode in my ongoing series, Valiant Till the Last, in which I read the entire Valiant universe, one deluxe edition at a time. And we are making serious progress. I think I'm around about a third or almost halfway through my Valiant Deluxe Edition collection. It's the first time I'm ever reading these comics, so you're along with me for the ride. Today we are looking at Exo Manowar Deluxe Edition 2. Last week we looked at Deluxe Edition 1. This is the cover. Loving this image. Now, I know I whinged quite a lot last week about how rubbish the cover on the last deluxe edition was. If you look at the quality of this one, I think you now see my point. This is the kind of artwork we should be having. Anyway, standardized cover in terms of the 2012 sort of formatting. This is well before the post-2018 white spine era of Valiant hardcovers. And as such, here we have a grey spine here with Deluxe Edition 2, and again written by Robert Venditti. In terms of the back, usual kind of standard layout. What I will point out is that this image here is brilliant, isn't it? I mean, just look at that. That is absolutely excellent. Right, let's dive into it. We've got the front French flap there. We have the creators on the back here. So there's Robert Venditti. There's also Matt Kindt as well, who we'll remember from one of my very, very first videos, which is about the story Divinity, which Matt Kindt wrote as well. And then there's a few other creators there. Alright, let's get the dust jacket off. Let's have a look under the cover. We have Exo Manowar, same logo, looking good. And again, this is exactly the same layout as the previous one on the spine, so if you're to keep this raw on your shelf, here you have Deluxe Edition 2, with a clean back there. Looking at the end leaves, we've got black here and black there, which is fine. It does sound slightly creaky, but trust me, the spine is fine. The build quality of this is fine. It's just another good, well put together deluxe edition. So what we have here is book 2. Now, this is the contents. Normally I go through the contents, and I will do here, but I will point out this contents page is, in a way, wrong. And I'll explain so when we get to the appropriate page in the comic. So, to start off with, there's 3 arcs. There's the Homecoming arc, which is issues 15 to 18. Keep in mind the first volume was issues 1 to 14. So the next 4 issues form the arc Homecoming, written by Robert Venditti. Then subsequent to that is issues 19 to 22, which is an arc called At War with Unity. And then the final part of it is the story To Kill a King, which is Unity's issues 1 to 4. Now, Unity is written by Matt Kindt, who's the guy, as I mentioned, who wrote Divinity. So what we have here is Homecoming, At War with Unity, and then To Kill a King, Unity 1 to 4. And that's the contents of this book. That is, however, not how it's mapped, which we'll talk about in a few moments. So let's get into it. We have Homecoming, usual thing. We have the 4 covers there. Yes, spoiler warning, it introduces the Eternal Warrior. So this is Gilad, who we've already met from events such as the Valiant in one of my previous videos. He's one of the 3 immortal brothers, Armstrong, Ivar Time Walker, and Gilad the Eternal Warrior. Armstrong I know a little bit about, he's featured in a few of the issues we've read so far. Ivar Time Walker, I just know his name, so I'm assuming he's got something to do with time travel. And then the Eternal Warrior, we've seen a couple of things, and here we see him again. Yeah, what can I say about this deluxe edition? It's definitely good, definitely worth having. What I said in last week's video is that volume 1 was kind of a solid comic installment. It was good, but in a lot of ways it was kind of unprepossessing. It didn't blow me away. It wasn't a landmark set of comics. It was just a good, solid comic story with good writing and good art, which I know in a lot of ways feels like kind of a bland way to review something. But the truth is, it was, like I say, better than average, but not mind-blowing. It was a good foundation for what I hope would be a subsequent powerful and important story, and that's what we're starting to see hints of here. In Deluxe Edition Volume 2, we get a much more interesting kind of story now that Exo Manowar, so Arik here, is established, and he's trying to develop a homeland for his people who he's rescued, and he's now increasingly part of the wider Valiant universe and wider Valiant context. So we now see him interacting not just with people like Ninjak, but also with Psyots, such as Livewire, Toyo Harada, and also with the Eternal Warrior, as we've just seen. As you can see, the artwork is very, very consistent. As you can see, the bind quality is good. It's generally really well put together, and that is the first arc, which is Homecoming, which is available as a trade paperback. So this is the bit I was going to say is where the mapping doesn't quite match what it said in the contents pages, because the rest of this entire hardcover is not 2 arcs, At War with Unity and To Kill a King. It's actually those 2 arcs interwoven. So whilst you can buy At War with Unity as a trade paperback, and you can buy To Kill a King as a trade paperback for Unity, here, what they've actually done when they've mapped it is different to what it actually says on the contents page. I don't know why that isn't reflected on the contents page. It seems like a weird thing to do, especially given in other more complex mappings that I've seen in previous hardcovers, like Harbinger Wars, they go through it issue by issue explaining what happens in what order. Here, for some reason, they didn't. But on this page, they're showing it. What we have is Unity Issue 1, then EXO Unity Issue 2, then EXO Unity Issue 3, EXO Unity Issue 4, and EXO. And that's the way the story is. Keeping in mind that means it's written by Matt Kindt, and Robert Venditti. So, just so you know, that's how this is mapped, and as a result, that's how I read it. So I haven't read it the way it's done as trade paperback, I've read it as the way it's mapped in my physical deluxe edition. How does that work? It works incredibly well. It works so well that I actually wonder, and I tried to put myself into this mind space, but I couldn't work it out. I actually wonder, like, what it would be like reading just the Unity issues, or just the XO issues. So yeah, it's just strange trying to see how those would work as standalone trade paperbacks, because this works so well as 8 interwoven issues. Anyway, here we have Unity Issue 1. Really good. Matt Kindt's writing is very distinctive, and I felt that his writing in this was substantially better than his writing in Divinity, which I know comes later. And yeah, it was really, really interesting, really well put together. This now is an EXO Manowar issue. You can see very different art from what we're used to. I don't entirely like this art style. I don't really know why they moved to it, but they do it consistently for an issue or two. Then we're back to Unity again. So what is the storyline here? Long story short, Arik, the Visigoth who's inside the EXO Manowar armour, is trying to establish his own homeland by annexing modern-day Romania. And as a result, the governments of the world are understandably unhappy, and things start escalating towards a World War III type scenario, because you can't just land somewhere and just go, right, I'm taking this country because my people lived here 2,000 years ago. Can we please keep any kind of broader commentary on politics and current global world events out of the comment section, because there's just no need for it. But in terms of this, it's a really interesting exploration of how one man can or can't, in this case, make a difference. It's a good story, it's really interesting, it's well written. I feel it builds sensibly upon the very promising start of the first deluxe hardcover. Again, you can see slightly different art style here. So it builds very well on the promise that we saw in the last hardcover. However, having said that, it's still not amazing. It's not 10 out of 10. It's just consistently getting better and better and better and better. So given that there's still at least another 3 hardcovers to read, I am very pleasantly optimistic about where this is going to go. A lot of this feels like it's just setting the scene, setting the pace, setting the context for what's going on. So yeah, I really enjoyed it, and I'm very glad I have it in my collection. Again, as said before, if I just had this in my collection, so let's say I only had the first 2 deluxe hardcovers in my collection, I would have it, I'd enjoy it, but I would hope for more, and obviously there is still more to come. So yeah, it's good, it's recommended. Definitely this comes directly after EXO Manowar Deluxe Edition Volume 1. This is the end of the sort of combined To Kill a King and At War with Unity arc, and then we get into the gallery section. And here we can see standard gallery, I guess. Some of this artwork is just incredible. Look at some of this cover art, brilliant stuff. Yeah, and so this is it. I love the 8-bit comic versions that they do every now and again. So yeah, that's my overview of the deluxe edition. Hopefully that was helpful. I guess the big question now is, where do I move from here? Do I now move into reading Unity, or do I move on to EXO Manowar Volume 3? I have both of those. I have the Unity Deluxe Edition, and I have EXO Manowar Volume 3 as a Deluxe Edition. So the question is, where am I going to go? I have decided, in a typical Thomas Judge and Maverick move, to actually go with neither of those. For next week's video, we are going to be reading Armor Hunters, which is a Valiant Comics event collected its own deluxe edition, which, as far as I know and as far as I believe, segues smoothly on from this and is the next thing to read after this. So I'm going to give that a try. That's going to be Armor Hunters, the deluxe edition. So if you're reading along with me, that's what to read next. Okay, as always, thanks for watching. All right, thanks for watching, everybody. As always, please like, comment, subscribe. As always, please follow me on Twitter at I am Thomas Judge, where I will post a daily review of whatever comics I've been reading. You can get an idea of what I'm up to on the channel. And as always, please support the channel by heading over to Amazon.com and checking out my prose novel about superheroes. It's a completely original piece of work. The first episode in it is called Arrivals, and the series as a whole is called No Gods or Kings. You can find an excerpt of that on my website, nogodsorkings.com. Until next time, everybody, stay classy.